I'm Jeff Walker, Chief Product Officer at CINC, and Tamara is our esteemed trainer with all the product expertise.
Glad to have everyone on.
And Matt, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. My name's Matt Feathers. I'm a real estate agent in the Nashville area, but I'm also a trainer for the Sync Live team. So super pumped to be here for this awesome feature rollout and update, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, so Matt's living the experience every day, and so we're excited to have your perspective on this as we look at learning how to use the product, how to activate the product, but also really how to find value in it, and how with the new call transcript feature to have it impact your conversations and your transactions ultimately. All right, we got almost 100 folks on now. So let's get started. Great to see everybody. Thanks for chatting too. Okay, so you are here today to talk about the new call transcription release, which was a rollout on the that we introduced earlier this month. So I think the first week of November. So we're very excited to be able to show it to you guys, chat about it, and answer your questions as well. So if you have questions, you can drop them in the. Do we have Q&A set up? If we have Q&A set up, drop it in the Q&A. If not, you can drop them in the chat. And we've got additional folks from Sync who are manning the chat and ready to answer as well. But we can bring up questions for the whole team if you'd like to raise that as well. So first, we'll introduce call transcription. We'll talk about how to activate and the pricing on this product. And then, as I mentioned, we really want to spend some time of how to use this to improve results. So it's not just the rollout of the feature, but let's talk about what can you do to actually make a difference in your business by using call transcripts. So really the problem we're solving, and this has been a feature, I've been with Sync for 5 years now, and certainly it predates me with clients asking for this ability to have call recording or call transcripts, because obviously this is a business where it's about calling leads. And so that creates pain points where you're on the phone and trying to figure out, okay, I got to listen to this call, really be present with this call and listen to what that client's saying, think about how I want to position this, but also remember everything that has been said. And so it's really easy to finish a conversation, especially if you're power dialing and going through multiple and remembering what you said, what the client's preferences and their why was and time frame, things like that, the things that you're going to use to create the best follow-ups, and to reflect on how you can improve. So in a world where we can always iterate and get better at what we're doing, having that time to take and say, how can I move my appointment conversion rate up from where it is and get it a few points higher so I can have more face-to-faces coming out of these calls. And so that's what this is all about. With call transcription, you can improve your call outcomes, and that's the main focus that we're really looking on here. That with this feature, you can improve and be better on these calls and have better results. And so some of the advantages here with the product, and we'll be diving in and taking a look at it in just a second as well. But setting the stage here, it gives you instant clarity on what was said on every call. So you don't have to remember, and you don't have to take notes, which should be a big load off. So you can be present on the call because everything's being captured. And you don't need to worry about writing it all down as you're going or afterwards. Smarter coaching. So if you're coaching yourself, if you're a solo agent, or if you're a team leader and you're coaching your team, we can all get better and find out what's working, what's not working, and keeping in mind it's really easy to, you learn what the best strategies are, best practices are, and then in the moment they can sometimes slip your mind when you're in the middle of a conversation. And so being able to go back and then look and evaluate yourself is going to help you build that muscle to have those best practices front and center in those calls as you go forward. Faster follow-up. So remembering what those action items are and capturing those so that you can set the right follow-ups is an important part of this. And then, of course, better team results. If you are running a team, you don't necessarily have exposure to what your agents are saying on the phone. So if your agents are like, yeah, that none of the leads are good, it's hard to know without actually being able to see what's happening in those conversations. Is it really a lead issue or is it a conversation issue and missed opportunities? All right, so first up, if you're going to activate call transcription, the prerequisite is that you have the sync dialer product. And so many, if not most of our clients have the dialer. Even if you're not using the dialer today, you might have the dialer available to you. But in order to transcribe the calls need to be made through the dialer, which is then going to be running through the phone lines and where we have the transcription attached. And they need to be done on the web. So this is a product for the CRM on the web when you're using the dialer there. The transcription is not yet available on the mobile app. So it's just when you're on the web. So you're sitting down to make your morning calls. It's going to be recording all of those with transcription and then adding the transcript and the summary to your lead details. We do recommend this is a great opportunity to have a good setup. And so making sure that you have good microphone headset, noise canceling microphones are great. The quieter the background noise is on the call, the better the transcript is going to be. So one of the things that we see with the transcripts is if there's loud noise in the background or shuffling or voices or TV or people talking, you don't capture it as well. But if you're in a nice quiet space when you're making these calls and you have a good mic, it's going to be great. And we'll take a look too in just a second on how to know if you have the dialer and how to assign phone numbers to it. So we'll look at the product live in just a second. So the pricing on the call transcript. So you can add, the pricing is on a per active line basis. So it's $25 per month per active line. There's no usage fees. And so it doesn't matter if you make a million phone calls and have, them all being transcribed. That's all fine, but it's on a per line basis. It's going to be billed based upon how many lines were you had actual dials on with conversations during that month. So if you've got a 3-line dialer, but you're only making calls on one of them, or you only have a couple of them assigned to agents, then your monthly cost is just going to be based upon the lines that were active. I'm just going to check the chat right now to see if there's any, and maybe Tamara or Matt, is there anything in the chat so far that I need to address before we
Yeah,
move forward?
we just got one from Steven. He said, I have some tech questions when it comes to the dialer. The dialer records most calls as spoken to when I never actually spoke to the lead. Will the transcription know that it was not an answer or if it was an answering machine instead of spoke to? And I can help address that, or Jeff, if you want to address that too,
Go
that's
ahead, Tamara. Yeah, you can take that.
yeah, so the great thing about call transcription, sometimes right now with the dialer, it if if it's a certain length of time, it will kind of recognize it or think it's a conversation when you're right, it could be an answering machine or a voicemail. The great thing about call transcription is it's going to actually more recognize that conversation, and you'll see an insights column, and Jeff is going to show you that. So it's going to actually recognize that insights were captured. And then even better on the call summary report, or when you're looking at a lead's profile, you'll be able to actually see the length of the call and you can filter. So when you're looking at past conversations, you're going to be able to say, hey, I just want to see the conversations that were maybe over 2 minutes in length, because I'm looking for those quality conversations, maybe not just the people who picked up and said, can't talk right now. So it's going to help you kind of better filter to see those true quality conversations.
Great. Yeah, so that probably will all be clear when we open it up and take a look at how it actually works. So thank you. Uh, I remembered I passed this screen without pointing out this QR code. So it occurs to me that some folks might have the dialer but have never used it, and in which case you might want to go to the CINC Help Center after this meeting And there's a great tutorial that Tamara gave that is linked from this QR code, or you can just Google it, which you can look at Sync Pro dialer tutorial and you should be able to find it. But that walks through how to set up a campaign with the dialer and how to activate calling with the dialer if you've not used it before and it's available on your platform. If you don't have the dialer at all, it is an add-on product, and you can talk to your account manager about that. But the dialer is the prerequisite. I'll hold that up there for just another second in case anyone needs to take a picture of that QR code to get to the dialer video that walks through how to use the dialer.
Yep. And I also just put the link in the chat too. So
Oh,
if you're
even better.
somebody who likes to click, there you go.
That makes it even easier. And then all this month we've had access to the call transcription for free. So this provides an opportunity to try it out and see how it works for you. The billing won't start, that $25 per line won't start until December. So if you've got 10 days left in November, if you'd like to get started with it and see how it's working for you. So a couple of more things about how to set up call transcription. It can only be activated by site owners today, since the product that's going to be billed. And I will show you how to do that in just a second. But if you're not an owner of the site, then the site owner is who would need to switch it on. We'll show you how to switch it on in just a second, but it's in your dialer settings page. And then I'll just jump to the next screen, which actually shows what it looks like. And then there's another option about call is being recorded message. So you see here in the settings menu, there's a dialer settings option. And then you can see if you have a dialer that's active, it's going to show up here. And then if you do, then you have access to the dialer recording settings. And what you can toggle on here is this site-wide call recording. And when you do that, it's going to ask you to confirm it by typing a word that you're turning it on, and then it will work. There'll be nothing more to wait for. So you'll start getting the call transcripts as soon as you make your next phone calls with the dialer. And they populate pretty instantly. So right after you make the phone call, the transcript should show up on the lead. We'll see how it shows up. So the other thing to be aware of is we've enabled this feature by default, which is the call is being recorded message. And this is something that you can toggle, but in order to offer the best protection, we wanted to give you the ability to make sure that if you need to, have that message played at the beginning of every call. So if this is toggled on, the call is being recorded message, when you call, there'll be an automation that says this call is being recorded, and then you'll be speaking. It's something that you can choose to toggle off. Going to the next slide here. So if you want to toggle that off, some clients prefer to just make it part of their script, where they just say, just do the regular sync script, say, hi, this is Jeff from the home search site. I'm calling on a recorded line. I noticed you were looking at homes in Marietta. You're looking to make a move soon or just browsing. And so they just work in this on a recorded line. It comes out naturally as part of that opening line. It is something where there are different regulations on a state-by-state basis. And so we would recommend that you contact your attorney and let them know you're going to be enabling call transcription, call recording. Of course, it's always safest to just say the call is being recorded, but you can also talk to your attorney about their advice for, in your particular situation, is that something that you need to say in your location or not? So we're giving you an option to handle it by default, but also the flexibility to deactivate it based upon the advice that you're getting for running your business in your location.
Hey, Jeff, I thought Danielle had a good question. Asked if the transcription would transcribe other languages.
Oh, it is a good question. So not yet right now. So right now it's only transcribing English. It's something that we expect will expand to other languages in the future. Great point. It's one I'd wanted to bring up. Anything else that we need to address right now?
We did have a question that just came in regarding can you have your own phone number when using the dialer? You do have to have a CINC phone number set up, but when you are making outbound calls in the dialer settings, you do have the option to pick what you prefer your caller ID to be. So you can say, use my CINC number as the outgoing caller ID or use my personal.
Let me open up the dialer settings so you can kind of see how this, this is Tamara is here. So Tamara, can you tell us about what all this means here under dialer agent settings and how to know who's on and who's off of a dialer?
Yes. So when you're looking at this screen, this is our test training site. So all of these agents are fake agents. I'll mention that. But one, you'll see Twilio number. We'll call that often at sync number. So that number does need to be added to an agent profile. And you can see on the right-hand side, if somebody does not have a number, it says no number. There's an option that says add phone number. When you click that, it kind of opens up a prompt. You type in the word dialer and it will automatically it will automatically assign a phone number. I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, when you're also looking at this, if you want to know who already has a dialer line, you can see if it says remove dialer, that individual does have an active dialer, and they can make call campaigns using the dialer on their desktop or on the app. Now, again, call transcription, though, at this time only is going to work on the desktop version of the dialer. If you do want to remove the dialer from an agent's profile, you can just simply click remove dialer. If you want to add the dialer, all you have to do is click add dialer on that right-hand side. And Jeff, I don't know if you can do that for one of these test agents. And you'll see it says, please be advised that adding the dialer could increase your monthly dialer charges. Type in the word dialer to confirm. Now, currently we have a little bug. It doesn't look like there is a type field, but if you click, you are going to be able to type out the word. And then when you hit confirm, it will automatically add a dialer line for that agent. And one thing, Jeff mentioned this, but this call transcription is a site-wide toggle. It's not something that you can pick per agent. So you can't say, hey, Abu wants call transcription, but Bernadette doesn't. When you do toggle it on, it will automatically toggle it on for everyone with that active dialer line.
Yep. But it will only be billed for the lines which our phone calls are actually happening on. All right, perfect. All right, so we covered that one. So next is how to, once you've got transcripts activated, how to actually see them. So there's two different places where you can see them. You can see them in the call summary report, and you can see them on the lead details when you're actually looking at the conversations tab inside lead details. So probably the best thing to do here is just go back to the product live. And so underneath the Launchpad, we have the call summary. And in the call summary, if I open up Tamara's logs, now I have some new options here in my menu to filter. So this is where you want to go if you kind of want to review all the conversations that have been happening with your leads. And I can say, okay, I don't want to see like voicemails and stuff. So I only want to see calls that were over a certain length. And so I might say they're a minute or longer. And that's going to help me find the ones that were actually connected. And so I can see that this was a 3-minute and 38-second phone call. The other thing you can do is you can call insights means that we have the transcript and the summary. And so you can also filter by has insights if you want to limit it. If there are some leads which don't have a transcript, then you can filter them out by using that one right there. So here I can open the insights, and it's going to open up this drawer here where it shows me the summary. And so the summary is just an AI summary of the entire transcript. So it gives you that quick overview of what happened, which you can then use. Great for is cutting and pasting into a note as well. But the transcript is going to show you the full threaded transcript, kind of like what you see with our CINC AI texting, where it's going to show you what each person said, and you can review everything that was said on that call. So I can scroll down here, and you can see the entire thing. You can see there's going to be some cases when you review these where if there's noise or sometimes people talk over each other and the transcript's not able to quite catch it, it's going to add little things like here, noise, or dot, dot, dots means that there was some filler word that was said and it skips that. So you'll find it probably 95% accurate, but in most cases there's some parts which are muffled where you just have to kind of skip past that part. But what we found is, it gives the summaries are great. It gives a great overview of what happened on that call and helps you remember what are the key details, their motivation, their preferences, and the next actions that have been committed to.
Two things I just wanted to comment. Sometimes also personal identifiable information could sometimes be kind of left out of the transcript just for privacy reasons. And then in that transcript section, you can also search for keywords. So if you remember in a conversation, a lead said something and you don't want to go scrolling through the whole conversation, you can actually type in keywords and it will highlight those keywords.
Yep. So you said coffee in there at some point. So, it highlights the match. Okay, there it is. Great. All right, so that's the one place. So if you want to review them kind of in bulk, that's where you go. You go to the call summary. If you are looking at a individual lead and you're wanting to see what has been said on the calls, that is now added in the conversations tab. So the conversations tab is where CINC AI is communicating. So you're seeing the text thread there. And now there are call transcripts there as well. So you might have multiple calls. So you can select the call and you see exactly what we just saw in the call summary page, where you've got the summary and the full transcript. And so they get attached to the lead. All right, so I think I hit everything on that front of where to find it. All right, so that is how you use the product, where the transcripts show up. So next we'll kind of talk more strategically about how to put it to use for you in a way where you can impact your business. And Tamara and Matt, any other questions about how the product is used before we move forward?
Somebody did ask if they have to have the other AI sync features enabled on their site in order to use this. And the answer to that is no, they're separate. Now, I do recommend if you're not using Alex, our AI, for texting and nurturing your leads and engaging your leads through text conversations, definitely encourage that is something you consider in the future, but they are separate. You don't have to have Alex in order to have this. The only thing you have to have is the dialer.
Yeah, and what's something that we're really focused on, we're really focused on having our CINC AI become smarter and smarter and better at long-term nurturing as well. And this will actually be one of the pieces of context of what the AI can know about in order to deliver the right message to the lead as part of their nurturing. So that's something that you can look forward to as you're having call transcripts. The call transcript might have already found out everything about the lead's preferences and and their motivation and price range and all of that. And so we wouldn't want to repeat that via text, right? And so right now, the texting isn't aware if you've talked to somebody and what they've said, but we'll be able to use that in the future. So this is part of our ongoing plan as we're enriching the AI to use the call transcripts as context so that it gets smarter about what the next step should be. If it's already had a conversation about preferences, it shouldn't lead with that. It should talk more about, the agent said, I'm going to send you some listings. I'm going to update your search and send you some listings. The AI might follow up on that instead and say, hey, what do you think about the listings I sent you, to keep the conversation going and relevant to everything that's known about that lead. So there will be benefits to having both activated together as well, but you do not need to have CINC AI activated to use this. But long term, it's just going to help us deliver better and better lead nurturing that does more for you so that you don't have to remember every follow-up and what was said on the previous calls. All right, so let's talk about how to use this effectively, especially if you are a team leader, because this could be something which is, new and different and maybe even a little scary to the agents on your team. And so, as Matt and I were kind of chatting about this ahead of time, he said it's really important to create a positive coaching environment around this. And so, Matt, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of open up this slide here. And why don't you talk to this? Like, in using this with agents who are on your team, how do you frame this so that they don't feel like, oh gosh, Big Brother has been activated and now is going to be watching my every move?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'm super excited about this opportunity because it's all, I mean, I used the dialer in the past and the summaries we've had in the past to make this very scalable because I firmly believe like the most important metric in our business, it really is, or it should be appointment met, right? And it's like but how do we get there? And we used to just be able to use the summary to like check for contacts, dials made, things like that. Well, now it's so much more. And just like any other thing that you roll out, like a new feature or new practice, whatever the case may be on a team of, like we talked, whether it's two people or 20 people, you've got to support it first, right? You've got to get behind it and know the why behind it and be able to lead your people. But yeah, there's just so many benefits to having this in place for like productivity and efficiency and things like that. But the biggest one I'm excited about is like to make us better on the phones for prospecting. And we talked about like an analogy of if you want to get better at like playing golf, well, you might get lessons, right? Or you might go get on a simulator. And I hate to use sports analogies, but I thought it was a good one. If I get lessons, my coach needs to see me swing, right? That's the only way they can correct things or tell us what we're doing wrong or doing right. And I look at this like identically. We're going to be able to make sure you're nailing that opening line, right? Which is, in my opinion, it's very important, probably the most important, right? To get that conversation started, to get them on the hook. We'll be able to kind of pull out some struggles you might have with certain objections. And then ultimately, too, just to kind of help folks close, right? To close and set the appointment and ask for the appointment. Because we didn't have visibility to that stuff in the past. It was all just dials and contacts and things that we kind of entered into the system manually. So this is a total game changer. But you've got to create that like that comfortable culture in your office to say, hey guys, this is not about me like looking over your shoulder, making sure you're doing this or doing that, but more so about like helping you to be successful. So super cool in my opinion.
Yeah, and one of the potential kind of tips and tricks as you get started on this is to start with celebrating successes
Mhm.
versus criticizing the performance on the phone calls, right? So use it
Yeah.
as an opportunity to lift people up and show what people are doing great, and because people can look, the others can learn from team members who are having success with overcoming objections or asking for the appointment, and then learning from that versus it being pointed out where maybe one of their calls didn't go so well.
Yeah, we have a red flag label that's created in our database, and we use it like crazy. but our folks know that it's not like a red flag, like an issue. We do use it for coaching opportunities, but we also put the red flag on the good things, like the things that were done well. So that's just an idea for ways to kind of flag these things as, hey, this is really, really good. And I always lead with like something that's really good. Tell me something good. Let's talk about a couple good ones, and then let's also talk about some gaps or some coaching opportunities.
And that's what we're going to do next. We're going to look at some actual transcriptions. We've anonymized them, but these are real conversations, and really talk about, well, if you are coaching yourself or a team member, what are some of those things that you should be looking for? How do you break it down without having to go line by line? And pick out the things that are going to be making a difference in the call effectiveness. And so these are kind of some of the categories to be looking at here, which is, of course, the opening, looking at is motivation and timeline being identified? Is the agent's value being differentiated? Is there a value discussion that's being brought up in that so that they understand why working with you is better than working with somebody else? Objection handling. And then, of course, the end is really important. It's very, very interesting to look at the ends of the calls and see, was that appointment or the logical next step nailed down, which is, of course, the hard thing to do, right? It's hard to ask for that appointment. But one of the things we'll see, I just kind of picked a few conversations at random here to take a look at. Oftentimes the leads are asking for it, and yet we still don't always do it. And so that's one of the things when you look back at the conversation, you go, oh my gosh, the lead was actually saying, can you meet with me? And I missed that in the moment. And so we're going to look at some actual real conversations now with Matt and see how you might coach through them. All right, so I've got these. I've put them in, taken them out of the website and put them into Word here. I kind of highlighted some areas that we might focus on. Can you see that okay, Matt?
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is the opening line. And of course, this just even being able to monitor this, because we do coach around the effective opening that's going to draw that conversation and keep objections from handling in the first place. So this is pretty good. But there's still one thing that I think, Matt, you would suggest to do differently here.
Yeah, I think this is a decent start, right? Like it's kind of along the same lines of the framework of our opening line, which I'm again like it's crucial in this day and time to get somebody on the hook. You only have a few seconds, like 3 to 5 seconds is what they say. It's super quick. But one of the landmines is in that opening line that I kind of caught here was the word buy. And words that I try to avoid and I recommend agents avoid are things like buy, cash, financing, lender, price range, budget. It early on like this, it just is very salesy, right? And we're not in a place to sell just yet. We're trying to build rapport, dig deep, find out their why, what's their situation. And this right here just initially kind of makes you seem like a salesperson or a telemarketer.
And so what do you say instead of that one?
Make a
Instead of
move
looking at
soon. Yeah, yeah. While I have you on the phone, what brought you to the site, or what's prompting you to browse, or what's got you looking, things like that. We've got that opening line that it's pretty bulletproof, and if you've got to practice it, practice it, practice it, and it's okay to tweak a few things I think here and there that like for your flow purposes, but I really truly try to stick to it.
Yeah, and I've always heard that, Matt, that, the make, are you looking to make a move soon?
Mhm.
But you really got me thinking about it
Okay.
today, because I was realizing that that also kind of covers if they came to the buy channel, but they're a potential seller,
Mm.
making a move covers all your bases. Because they might be selling and they want to have a selling conversation. If you say that, then they will lead you into that conversation about listing versus buying.
Yeah, it's so true, and there's a science behind it. We've thought that stuff through, and I believe it's like 30 to 40% of my Google buyer leads come in telling us that they have a home to sell as well. So no, you nailed it for sure.
All right, so let's advance. So there's a great conversation happening. Kathy is talking about moving from out of the area, but back to a place they've lived before. And she says here first, yeah, we've got about 2 years left here. What I can tell what's happening in the conversation, that's sticking in the brain of the agent. They're like, okay, 2 years left, starting to think, oh man, this is gonna be a long time for this person buys, maybe I can just put them on long-term nurture and move on. But some interesting things happen a little bit later. And so they're talking about preferences, what kind of home they're going to live in. What's great about this is the agent's not even having to ask questions. They're just sort of affirming and giving space for that lead. And they keep talking. And I love that, that you're just, this is one of those people that's you love to have, and that they're going to tell you everything about what they're looking for. And they're kind of building rapport by doing all the talking on their own. So
Yeah,
they're talking about the grandchildren. Mentions her husband's in the military, and so that's something that is affirmed as well.
that's really good.
And then what's interesting is, and this often happens, she started with 2 years because she's wanting to take the pressure off. I'm definitely not looking now. But then we see this phrase here. So what does this one say to you, Matt, when you see that? We'll definitely be doing something, but I don't want to wait too long.
I don't know. That's kind of interesting. It's like, we said 2 years, but to me, there's actually like a little bit of a sense of urgency there. And that's why I would backing up a little bit. That last highlighted piece, that 2 years piece, it's like, okay, well, like interesting. Like, tell me a little bit more about that time frame. Why 2 years? And that's
Mm.
completely open-ended, right? And that just gives them a chance to tell you more about their situation. And I thought there's some great stuff in there talking about military and branch and grandchildren, things like that. But going back, and we could never do this, right, without the transcript. But going back, it's like, oh, that's an awesome opportunity where I could have dug a little deeper. And that's what I'm so excited about.
And in this case, Kathy's still chatting away, and the agent tries to make an exit at this point, and so and so says, would it be okay if we stay in touch? I know you've got a couple of years, so they're reaffirming the 2 years rather than digging deeper into that. But I can keep sending you a listing. So what would be your coaching on that one?
Yeah. And the question was about the large amount down in cash or the time frame.
Just about like at this point, kind of trying to wrap up the conversation.
Yeah.
Um, would you do anything different here?
I've two ways, two options here, really. I've had some success in the past for folks that are in this situation, and I've asked things like, "Hey, just if you don't mind, let me ask, like, do you think that homes will be more expensive in 2 years or less? Do you think rates will be higher or less in 2 years?" And just let them talk, let them give you their opinion. And in an effort to dig a little bit deeper, and here's the reality, folks that are that close to retirement, they could probably actually do something today. And I mean, I've gotten people into a home 1, 2 years away from retiring, and they've used it as a rental or a short-term rental in the interim. So
That's a good idea.
don't ever lose sight of that. But I'll also too, like I really firmly believe even a year, 2 years out, things do change, right? There's no harm here in asking for an appointment, like getting face to face to kind of put together a customized coaching plan, or not coaching plan, but home buying plan, however you want to phrase it. I don't call it a buyer consultation. People don't like to be consulted. But yeah, don't give up, because in that 2 years of nurturing, that 2 years of checking in, things can change. They sign up on more sites, and you guys, you know what happens then, right? Somebody else ends up helping them. So yeah, try to
And
get with them.
and what's interesting here is, the agent tried to exit, but the lead is pulling for more. And so they actually say, "Oh, I'll be out there in January, so I can look around then too. If something comes up that's perfect, I'm open to moving sooner." And so that
I
should be
love it.
music to that should green alarms or should be firing off now, that this is someone who's saying, I want to meet with you. They're giving all the signals. I'm going to be there. I'm open to moving sooner. And then even this, I'm even fine moving without my husband. And so they're actually like saying they're overcoming their own objection here. Like I don't even need to wait for my husband to retire. I'll come out there and he can join me later. And it just goes to show here that that might have been too early of an exit, that this is someone that was actually willing to make an appointment.
Right.
And then they open up a little bit more. We get the price range. I am going to buy. Um,
I
and
just
then
want to point out, Jeff, like I wanted to
Mhm.
say real quick at this point, like there's been so much back and forth. There's definitely some rapport that's been established. Talking about money at this point, it's no problem, right? I don't love it, but she's the one that brought it up, you know?
hmm And now it's still a little, I mean, it's November. January's not that far off.
Nope.
And so Marie does say, if you're visiting in January, I'd love to meet you. In the meantime, I'll send your listings that fit your criteria. For the most kind of effective next step, what would you do here to kind of make sure you're securing this relationship and that this is a deal that you're going to get? Because this is somebody that is 100% going to transact.
Yeah, so there I think she mentioned like doing this with or without her husband. In the event that that doesn't happen, one of the questions that I love to ask folks is like, "Hey, is there anybody else going to be making this move with you?" Right? That is not an assumption. That's just me asking, right? I'm not assuming she's married, has a spouse, has a friend, whatever, right? So, is there anybody else going to be making this move with you? Okay. And then at that point, if this individual is out of state, right? Again, no harm. And folks, regardless of age, at this point, especially through COVID, folks are super accustomed to like Zoom and things like that. I do like to try and get with them face to face via Zoom if needed. If they're resistant to that, that's okay. But I would ask them how they like to be communicated with, text or email, phone calls. But regardless of that, the reality is I'm going to get their search set up. I'm going to, try and set a reminder for a few days out just to make sure they're using the site. And then I'm also going to set a reminder, no more than 30 days out to make sure that I touch base with them. The holidays can be busy, but I want to make sure and touch base with them in advance of their visit. That's another thing too, like to ask, she gave you that nugget. Kathy gave us that nugget about January. Like if you don't mind me asking, and I know that you're in town for a surgery, so I don't want to like take up too much of your time, but when are you going to be in town? Like what dates will you be in town?
Right. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because it really sounds like she's wanting to look at properties while she's there. And I bet you, like you're saying, the Zoom call, like this, Kathy would probably open to a Zoom call where you kind of co-browse together. I mean, ahead of time, let's look at some properties and pick them out together of what to go take a look at. And at that point, you've really secured that relationship.
I think we referenced something about military as well. We've got Fort Campbell right up the road where the 101st Airborne is. And I even thought I think somebody is on here from Clarksville, which is awesome. But I did a Zoom call with somebody in Germany a while back in advance of them coming back to the States and looking for a home in the Clarksville area.
All right, great. And let's see, might want to let me look at we have two other transcripts here. We take a look at one more. Um, Oh yeah, this is another good one. And this one came in as a potential listing lead. And so it starts out, just browsing, of course, good start. Planning to make a move in the next few months or just browsing, of course. What's prompting you to browse? And it's interesting. Again, there's always a little bit of standoffishness at the beginning because strangers just call them. They're a little uncertain about how much they want to share. And so you have to kind of read between the lines of what they're saying. And so here they say, oh, nothing. I already have a house. I'm just comparing prices. That's all. And so
Mhm.
that's this might be something this agent they haven't kind of heard that objection a lot, but you can see what they follow up with. Got it, makes sense. Conversation kind of wanes a little bit there, and the agent tries to exit the conversation with that same thing. Oh, can I keep in touch with you? So instinctively, what do you hear when you hear someone say, "Oh, I'm comparing prices against my house"?
Yeah, so it sounds to me like it's a good opportunity for evaluation, right? Now that could be an assumption on my part, but I'm not even going to go there just yet. Like I'm just comparing prices. Well, I'm going to refer back to my lead profile. I've got a favorite city and I might even have their address, right?
Mhm.
They do have the opportunity to put in their address. So I might ask like, are you in favorites, the favorite city. Are you in the Franklin area, or is that in the Franklin area? I also ask things like, well, tell me a little bit more about how long you've been there. How long have you been in your home or your house? I like to use the word house when it comes to sellers. It's less emotional, less personal. So just comparing prices, hey, that's great. That's exactly what my site's for. Things like that. So I'm not giving up on that just yet. Okay. I'm
And
gonna
what's the question you would ask here that that would keep it going instead of just got it makes sense?
Oh, well, like the one I had in mind was, are you in this area, or what area are you in?
Okay, great. So just zero in on where their house is,
Yeah, and then
and
or
then
it might
and
be,
that'll open them up further.
yeah, and it might be, tell me a little bit more about your current house. Okay, tell me a little bit more about your current house. Or, how long have you been in that house? Things like that. You've got options there, but just don't give up. Like stick with it and dig a little deeper.
And what's kind of funny here again, and I just was plucking these at random, but it's another case where the agent looked to exit because, it's uncomfortable, but the lead was asking for something. And so the lead actually came back instead of saying, okay, goodbye. They said, oh, I might need you to come out sometime to check things out and give me an estimate.
This doesn't even seem real.
I know, like this actually happened.
I'll
Uh,
take that.
and so, but you can see here now that that's what they were really meant in the first point. I'm
Sure.
comparing prices to my home. And so, yeah, 9 out of 10 leads are probably going to not ask this question because they're still a little uncomfortable. But if we had followed up and kept digging into their home location, what do they love about their home, and that they would start to talk about needing that valuation.
Hmm.
Okay, so so it's a good example now where you can see they're they're asking for someone to come to their house and value their home. And unfortunately, in this case, there wasn't even a discussion around the address or the property. Um, uh, and it did not end up with a specific, next step. They just said, I'll keep in contact and keep sending you updates on the local listings when they're asking for a listing appointment. Like there was an opportunity to go out there and get that listing.
Yeah, and if they're out of state, look at it this way. It could be a referral opportunity for ProLink or your referral partner in that area.
Yeah, and we don't even know in this case
Hmm.
where they were.
Right.
Um, But in the moment, like it's not to judge this because it's hard in the moment. And so that's the advantage of having these transcripts. You go back and you look and you go, oh, I can't believe I missed that. I see it now. And you build that muscle for next time. Oh, the one thing I did that what we did want to say though is in using transcripts, we do recommend if you blocked out time for dialing, then do not go look at the transcripts right after you make the phone call because what's most important is that you keep dialing, you keep talking to people. And so use your dialing time for dialing and being productive there, and then block out other time for reflection to go back and reflect, look at the transcripts, go back to the call summary, see what you said, and look for opportunities for improvement. And that way, I mean, number one is still getting people on the phone. If you take too much time trying to coach yourself, it's easy to focus on that instead of doing the scary hard next thing, which is making the next phone call. Then you're limiting your opportunities.
Yeah, it's one of the things I'm really excited about too, like just the productivity and efficiency aspect of this. Like I'm one of those guys that it pauses in between and manually inputs notes. I'm still going to probably do some of that stuff, but just think of how many more people we can talk to just by not having to do that, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
if you're saving 5 minutes in every call from not having to write down notes, that's making five more dials or having one more conversation.
the reality is home sales are down, right? Most markets, not all markets, most markets, we're going to have to talk to more people to sell more houses. So it's a big help.
And before we go, I want to give you one more
Okay.
tip, which is it's use with caution, but still it's an opportunity. And that is a lot of folks are now using generative AI. They've got their Chat GPT or they've got their Gemini or whatever AI you're using. There isn't, since you have the full transcript, you can just drop that transcript into your favorite AI chat and ask for it to coach you based upon best practices. And so we tried it with some of these phone calls and found the coaching was pretty it wasn't perfect, but it's pretty good. And again, helping you take a neutral look and identify what might be big opportunities. So I just did a prompt like this where I wanted to see, does it know anything about CINC? Does it know anything about CINC playbook and CINC best practices? So and it did a pretty good job. It's again, it's not exactly right on, but it's in the moment, it's a great way to self-reflect. And so I gave it a prompt like this. The following is a call transcript from an agent calling a new lead from their CRM. We want to identify their preferences, motivation, build rapport, establish an appointment using best practices taught at CINC. How would you rate the call and what suggestions would you make to improve it? Apply the best practices from CINC that are taught. And again, this is just straight up chat GPT. We haven't trained it, but it kind of, it goes out and it learns things. And so it seems to know a little bit about CINC's best practices and real estate coaching. So I pasted in the transcript, um, and it then walks through and it says, here's the strength. This is that first one we looked at of the woman who was moving from out of state, and she was going to be here in January. And so it calls out the strengths that we got their motivation. Good rapport was built. We got their needs and wants, and it's listing it all. And then it catches that there was a missed opportunity for an appointment. And it actually says Marie did not firmly set an appointment, even though Kathy offered a clear future opportunity. I'll be out there in January helping my sister after her surgery. Um, and it makes a coaching suggestion there. And again, like if you have your own best practices, you can kind of feed them in with your prompt. And this isn't going to be as good as a true human expert or real estate coach. But in the moment, again, if you just kind of want to dump the whole conversation in and see what areas you might want to focus on, it's not bad. It's not bad, and it's non-judgmental, right? So you're not having especially if you're solo, it's hard to come kind of see your own opportunities sometimes. And this gives a way to kind of have an independent observer that's not going to judge you for your call either. And so, Matt, you've sometimes used Chat GPT yourself now, haven't you?
I have. I've began to use, and I've been doing it for a while now, but I copied and pasted our dynamic tags from the help section that Tamara so kindly uh, monitors and maintains. It's awesome, by the way. But I copied and pasted our dynamic tags into there, and I use ChatGPT to make some campaigns and several other things. So this is awesome, and I love the fact that the first missed opportunity was really an opportunity to meet because I believe that it's always like the next step in the process is, or it's like, hey Kathy, while I have you, let's talk about the next step. Just looking to get a little bit of your time while you're in town. I know you're busy, you've got a surgery to attend to, but hey, I won't take up much of your time, but we should get together and talk about the next step in the process.
I like to call that this too, this opportunity to differentiate yourself with a value proposition hook, and gave an example. Like when I send listings, I'll include commute times to the base, which might be important. So that, and even if that's not exactly the right thing, it reminds you that, oh yeah, what could I have done for this person that would have made me stand out from anyone else that they might have talked to?
Sure.
So great ideas. There's a whole lot here that rates everything. And so again, like throw in a couple of sample conversations and get that coaching so that you can improve and improve every time.
So it's like if you're a solo agent and you don't have maybe you don't have a role play opportunity, then you can use Chat GPT.
All right. See that right now, all of the note taker AIs are wrapping up in the in the chat now. Any additional questions before we wrap up? So again, you can activate call transcription for free for the next 10 days. So I would encourage you to try it and try some of those techniques. Start looking at those conversations and see if it's creating more opportunities for you. The impact it can have on your business should be extremely powerful. And so it should be an investment that has a huge payoff for you guys. And don't be scared about the call recording thing either. Like if you have to say it, hasn't been a big deal for those that are using it. And you can check again with your own legal advice and see if that's something that is necessary in your location. Any other questions before we wrap? And one thing I wanted to give a reminder on was we have a conversion day, virtual conversion day coming up. Do you know when that is, Tamara? I meant to jot that down before.
Let me look real quick. We do have CINC in Tampa coming up December 9th. I think there is only 2 spots left for that event. It is pretty much sold out, but online conversion day is coming up. Let me take a look at our calendar real quick.
On the website, it says January 22nd, but I thought we might have one in December.
There we go. And we do also have a bi-weekly um, uh, conversion training hosted usually by John Marone or Christine Dunn. And that's actually every other Monday, a scripting call, objection handling. And I apologize, my computer's being a little slow. But yes, January 22nd, 11:30 Eastern time to 2 o'clock Eastern time is our online conversion day. 2 hours of
That's our next
best
one.
practices, scripting, final hours of Power Hour. You're going to
So you get
sit.
more stuff like this, you get more coaching like this, and now with transcripts, more of an opportunity to really see how you're putting it to use. I dropped the link in the chat for our CINC events that are coming up, webinars and in-person events. So you can take a look at that. And then someone did ask, free for 10 days. Yeah, it's basically, since we launched it, it's free for everybody who wants to turn it on in November. We won't start billing it to November till December 1st. So if you want to try it, I think you'll love it. But there's no risk to try it the next 10 days. And you can, if you want to keep it, then just keep it on in December. And if you have the dialer, you do not need to contact us. So I'll go back once more, since some folks are still asking you. If you have the dialer, you do not need to contact us to activate call transcription. Just go to dialer settings and hit toggle this on, site-wide call recording in dialer settings. So if you missed that the first time, if you have the dialer already, you can just activate call transcription right now. And
And
the next call you make will be captured.
now, if you are an agent on the team, you are not a site owner. Even if you're a broker level user, but you're not a site owner, only the site owner is going to be able to toggle that on or off. So if you're an agent, you really want it, just reach out to your site owner and they can toggle that setting on for the site.
Perfect. And it's so much fun to look at conversations and see what went well and look for opportunities, because I just love that, and seeing that opportunity for increased success. So hopefully this is something that you guys really enjoy doing, and get a lot of value out of taking a deeper look at that conversation. Because in the moment it's hard. You're trying to follow along and think about what you're going to say next, and when you look back on it, you see how much opportunity there is. All right. Well, thank you guys. And thanks, Matt, for joining me. I really appreciate your expertise. Super valuable. I learned a lot today myself. And thank you, Tamara, for showing all the details on how to do that, the technical stuff.
Yep. Thanks for the
Thanks for
invite.
having me. Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. And thank you to all who joined us today. We'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.
Bye.